This movie was brought to you by DwayneWright.com, FileMaker Framework Solutions, virtual one-on-one FileMaker training, consulting, and custom design services. For more information, please visit www.DwayneWright.com. Hello everyone, this is Dwayne, and in this movie I want to show a technique that I've been using a bit lately for setting the window title. This is the title up here. And what you kind of want to do is to have that correspond to the module that you're in at the moment. So what I had been doing for many years was in a navigation menu, you would pull over a script and you would set the window name here. So if we go down to the family of window script steps, here you can set the window title. And you would just manually go in here and say, okay, well, for this one, it's, vendors. And, put it in there when you're going into that vendors module. Then what kind of happens, though, is when you start to go to other modules from one module and adding data or doing a go to related record action, then you have to remember to do this again and again and again. And so another technique that I've been using is if we take a look at the relationship graph, or actually just look at the tables, you can see that I'm naming my tables in a consistent manner, and they're all in uppercase. And that's mostly done for the anchor buoy, or just so that I know my base tables and then the relationships that go across to the right. So that's the naming of the tables. When you go into your layout setup, so let's just go ahead and open this layout up. Oops, didn't want to do that. Let's do this. So when you go into layout setup, you can see that you have a form of context. You're saying this layout links to this table. This is another big feature of Anchor Buoy, and doing these all in uppercase is that you can always know that you're setting your layout to a base table instead of one of the related tables that goes across. And more information about Anchor Buoy stuff is on my site, and there's other movies, and Kevin Frank has a wonderful PowerPoint presentation on the topic. So every layout is linked to a base table. So when I load that layout, it knows how to set up the relationships and the field mapping going forward. So leveraging that, we could write a script to set the window name. And we can actually start latching onto that feature, other things such as adjusting the window and maybe even refreshing the windows for any of its linked related data that may be shown in a portal or that type of thing, called, fleshing the cache join results. And then again, if you're working with an SQL source, you could actually flesh the cache data. And that will happen a lot, and if you had a ton of records, you may want to adjust this appropriately. But so now I adjust the window and I'm setting the window title. And remember when I talked about that table, I'm not hard coding the name of everyone that I go to. What I'm doing is I'm using a calculated value. And so I'm using a get function that says, okay, well, I know my layout from a context is linked to a particular name. I'm going to get that name. And I'm going to put that up in the title. And then, just because I don't want to show it all in uppercase, but I could, I'm going to go ahead and wrap that get function within a proper function, which goes ahead and gives me title case. So it looks a little bit better. And then again, this is a calculation value. So I could add, more, options to the front or the back of this calculation and make it more robust as needed. So if we go and say, now I'm in my transaction file, if I go over to, or actually I'm in my accounts file, and it says it's transaction, if we go into our scripts and we execute that script, now you can see it's setting that as an account. So we have the account name. So anytime this layout loads, whether I use a go-to related record, so like if I do this, you can see that the name pulls up, or if I create a record on the fly. Now, with the script triggers that were introduced with FileMaker 10, and of course are available in FileMaker 11, I can automate this action. So the old school method would be that, everywhere that I have these scripts, I'd have at the bottom that refresh window, set window title script step. I don't need to do that anymore. What I can do, and see, I didn't do it for like our bills transaction, or bills module rather. So let's go ahead and go into layout mode. Let's go ahead and go into layout setup, and then let's go into the script triggers for that, and let's go ahead and say when I enter into the layout, I want to perform that set name and size, and I want that to happen in browse, find, and even in preview modes. And by the way, it depends on how granular you get. When we talked about that script in here, and we have our calculated value, I could even add in more get functions that knows what mode it's in, and it could say the layout module name and what mode you're in, just as another identifier. Of course, FileMaker does a great job of telling you what mode you're in most cases. So let's close this up. We'll save. So, oops. Let's go into browse mode. So it still says that it's, the bills it still says it's in the transaction module. So let's just go over to the accounts and go back to bills. And now you can see our script trigger fired. In fact, let's go back to accounts. Let's turn on our script debugger. It's a FileMaker Advanced feature that lets you know when a script has run. So I'll go ahead and click on my bills. You can see that it's performing my navigate script. So that's what's attached to that button. And so then we can run through that particular script. See there, it knows it's a bill, so it goes to the bill. And then, now that it's gone over to the bills module, it's firing the script trigger, and then it's going ahead and adjusting the window to resize to fit, setting the name, and then flushing the join events. And then we're done. So that's a technique that I've been using lately to make sure that I have the window title set properly to the module that I'm within. Do you have questions or comments about the video you just saw? Please feel free to email me at info@dwaynewright.com. Thank you.